back. You're listening to Tuttle Talk. I am your host, Andy Tuttle. Thank you so much for staying with us. This segment, we're going to talk about a couple of things all around and surrounding veterans. So if you're a veteran, you know a veteran, and you are looking to buy or sell and buy new, this is definitely the segment for you. And joining me for this segment and the rest of the show, so excited to have him here, John Sturges of the Sturges Group. John, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Good afternoon.
Thank you. Good afternoon to you.
Good afternoon.
So now he's British. So John, now you've been in this business a while. How long have you been in this business?
12 years.
12 years. Same as me. Okay, that's good. So you've seen a lot of things, you'd say.
Oh, yeah.
And you're also in the top 250 of 14,000 realtors in DFW, so congratulations
I like that
on
number.
That is nice.
Well, it could be a little lower, but that's okay.
But it is good. Lower on that. Higher on the chart, I guess, but lower on the
250. Maybe
closer
more like
to
100 or 1, that kind of thing.
We're going to get you closer to
right.
it. Either way, you're a pro. You're in the top in the whole market, which is great. That also, the reason I bring guys like you on the show is because you know what you're doing. There's a lot of part-time agents out there.
Yeah.
And unfortunately... and I don't want to get too far off target here, but all the time I talk to people that come to me from the show and they call and go, "Oh, I have my neighbor refer me to their friend agent who did," and I look them up and they've done literally worked on 2 transactions in the last 2 years.
Yeah, it's hard to define what's part time and what's full time. To be honest with you, I mean, a lot of people that say they're full time, they act like they're part time. I mean, it's just nutty.
Can I ask you to do me a favor, guys? Would you please qualify your agent?
Definitely.
This is for you. And it's for the seller. And in the next segment, we're going to get into multiple offers and the current market craziness that's going on. And we're going to get into appraisal issues. I'm going to tell you right now, if you don't have a full-time agent that's doing at least 1 closing a month, minimum, they don't know what's going on. They don't handle the volume enough to understand how to help you. Does that make sense? Because the houses you're looking for may have a listing negotiation superstar that's going to crush you, or they're going to put you in a position where you're not going to get the offer, period. And see, John is a listing agent, but he also helps buyers. This is really good because he can put on 2 hats. So if you're listing your home and you're working with an agent that's not helping, that doesn't do a lot of listings, well, they don't know how to help put you in a power position and leverage the power that you have right now. Right, John?
That's absolutely right. No doubt about it.
And so would you say that the market is the same or different than it was last year?
Oh, it's in many cases it's the same. I mean, we've been on a tear for, well over a year with regards to buyers looking for homes, low inventories, prices going up. So in many respects, it is almost a carbon copy. It seems like the people are a little more frantic this year, the buyers, because they've had about a year of looking and not finding those homes or losing out because of multiple offer situations.
Right.
So the desperation factor has gone through the roof.
And that would change the way now people are approaching the buying that and making different offers.
Completely.
You're right.
Yeah.
And so if you have been doing the business or working with someone that's, doing the business the same way they did it last year and not taking into account the new market and some of those conditions, hey, man, guess what? They're going to be out of business soon. You've got to work with someone that's in the market, in the know, and making that happen. And that, whether you're selling, whether you're buying, and especially, hey, if you're a vet, if you served our country and you're trying to buy a home right now, there are some special benefits that you well deserve that you get.
Absolutely.
But, John, in fact, just this week, I was like, man, I got to talk about this because I have a friend of mine. She works at a real estate agency in town, and a very good friend of hers was buying a home, but they knew a lender and a realtor, so they didn't use either of us. But they're trying to buy this home. They had it built. They were doing the build job and everything.
Right.
And then they got down to it. Now the home's built, right? And now they're going, I can't get financing.
No.
So I'm like, well, why? What's up? Well, the person they're saying that, that they were going to go try to USDA, but now they've averaged their income over the last 2 years, and they did qualify 2 months ago, but now they make too much money. And I was like, well, that's interesting. And then she was like, and then they can't go, they thought they may be able to go VA, but, he's supposed to serve 6 years in the National Guard. He only served 5 years and 8 months. And they can't get entitlement, so they can't buy the home. I was like, well, do you know how much they have to put down? Well, the short and long of it is I found out they had 10% to put down. Yes, they didn't serve. They don't get full entitlement because they didn't serve the full time in the National Guard. But you still get partial entitlement. And I'm like, this lender should have thought of this 2 months ago.
No doubt.
And so have you heard of this, partial entitlement versus full entitlement?
I have not, but, I was just thinking when you were making that whole comment about, it's the same thing with lenders. I mean, there are lenders that they act like they're part-time, too. They don't know what they're doing. I've dealt with many of them that, that have basically told the client one thing, and I'm like, I don't think that's right. And then we've checked with somebody else, and they were like, no, we can do that. I don't know what that other person was thinking. So,
right.
You have to, it goes back to, you make the spiel for, finding the right real estate agent. I make the spiel for finding the right lender, too. Use a lender that knows what they're doing, has been in this business for a long time, and you can count on, basically.
Right.
And that's what I look for, and that's what we do.
Yeah, that's right. No, I appreciate that. And yeah, you're absolutely right. You're listening to Tuttle Talk here on the Real Estate Radio Network. We're talking about really making smart decisions about when you buy and choosing the right realtor and interviewing them. We're supposed to be talking about vets, and we are. But I'll tell you, you got to qualify your agent and your lender. You need to qualify your agent, asking I would ask them literally how many families they helped. Find out if they're in the know and if they're doing this business. That's one of the main questions you should ask them, and ask them how long they've been in the business, And John can give you some really good questions to ask, too, and we'll get to that in a minute. But for a lender, I have a shopping around article that we send out. If you want to get a hold of the 4 questions you must ask every lender, whether you use me or not, this is an article you must read. If you're shopping rates and you're shopping around for a lender, John, since you brought it up, and you want to know the good questions to interview your lender, I'll give them to you for free. They're the 4 questions that if your lender doesn't know the answers to, run, don't walk to a lender that does. You can text me, 469-319-0660. Text 469-319-0660, and just text the word shop, and I'll get you that. You can also call that same number, and I'll get you that info product. I'll get you that article that is for you, so you can have it in your hands as a tool to make sure you pick a right lender. So, John, back to the vets. Mm-hmm. So it's interesting. Partial entitlement, typically, this person's going to be able to use. Partial entitlement just means, so when you don't get full entitlement, you have a DD-214, a full entitlement means you get 100% financing.
Right.
Up to $417,000.
Right.
If you're under that $417,000 and you don't have full entitlement and there's a lot of reasons. Some are because you actually own another home that's VA, mm-hmm. right? And you bought an investment property and you have a home and you can't get full entitlement mm-hmm. on your next property. That doesn't mean you can't buy VA.
Right.
It just means you're probably going to have to put some money down.
Right.
And there's a calculation that is used that typically means, like in this case, this person's going to be able to put 10% down on that property and still get a VA home.
Right.
And the challenge was for the friend that I found out, they couldn't go conventional because they had a foreclosure less than 4 years ago. And so but guess what? VA doesn't care. They're okay with that number. You can't have a foreclosure in the last, now I'm confused with VA and FHA, 3 years, 2 years, bankruptcy, it all ran together in my head. But they have a lower limitation. Mm-hmm. So you can still buy EVA, put 10% down. They didn't have to have a 740 credit. They don't. They have a mid-600 credit score. That's great. Mm-hmm. VA says you're okay. Mm-hmm. So now this person that thought, oh my gosh, I just built this home. I can't buy in. I put my earnest money down. I'm going to lose all this. Mm-hmm. We're able to calm them down and say, guess what? You got that 10%? Let's put it down. You got yourself a home VA.
Right.
That's crazy to me. And you got to work with a lender that understands those things. Otherwise, you're going to be missing out on homes. But vets out there, if you're looking to buy and you don't think you can because you don't have full entitlement, you can buy. You just need some money down. Want to know those numbers? You can email me at answers@andytuttle.com or call the number. We'll take care of you. John, on another thing is, and we were talking about this, people came to you buying a jumbo the other day, didn't he?
A jumbo?
He wanted to buy a jumbo, but he wanted to go VA. And what did you say?
I said I didn't think he could do it because I had done all the other ones with 100%, and he told me that his lender said he could, and I was like, I need to double check that. So I called the lender, and the lender said, sure, he can do it. There's a calculation, like you said. It's not 100% financing, but I was like shocked because I did not know that, and I have done a lot of VA loans, just not the jumbo type loans.
Right. So on that note, same calculation. You have let's say you have full entitlement in this case, but you want to buy a home that's over a $417,000 purchase. Well, guess what? You get 100% if you have full entitlement up to $417,000, and then a calculation is done based on the purchase price and the remaining entitlement that will give. Basically, you get a percentage of that, mm-hmm. and so typically it works out where you can buy up to $600,000, $750,000 home, and you can get away with about 5% to 10% down. You can no mortgage insurance, guys.
Right.
Hello.
Right.
Best deal in town.
Right. That was a sweet deal. I told him, I said, that was an excellent deal that you were able to pull off. So, I was really impressed.
It's a smoking deal. So you're listening to Tuttle Talk here on the Real Estate Radio Network. Coming up, we're going to stay with John. We're going to move the topic to multiple offers, how you handle multiple offers if you're a buyer, and how you handle multiple offers if you're a seller. And then we're going to talk about what happens when you get the contract, you got the offer, but you paid a little bit above list, or you paid just market price, but the appraisal comes in low. Remember, you got questions, guys. Call us 469-319-0660 and stay with us. Welcome back. You're listening to Tuttle Talk here on the Real Estate Radio Network. I am your host, Andy Tuttle. We're talking about multiple offers this segment. We're talking about what happens when you get the offer, but the appraisal comes in low and some of the other pitfalls that can happen to you during the process. And we're here with our good buddy, John Sturges of Sturges Group Realty. John, thanks for staying with us.
Thanks for letting me stop by.
Hey, man, my pleasure. So I think you have a little bit of experience with multiple offers, would you say?
God, if you're an agent today, you should.
Yeah, that's right.
You don't, then you're not an agent.
That's right. Then you're the part-time agent.
Exactly. You're the part-timer. Yeah, exactly.
They're not doing any business. So give us some perspective on, because I talk about this all the time, and I love getting agents on every week and talking about a little different perspective on this. So what are you seeing? Give us some examples of what's happening out there in the market.
Well, as I mentioned earlier, that the inventory is so low that buyers are just literally driving neighborhoods.
How low is it?
It's low. It's, literally a month or so of inventory. It's ridiculous. It's just seriously, you stick a sign in the yard and, you have like 5 contracts immediately, which literally happened to me yesterday. I put a sign in the yard and I had 5 contracts by the end of last night. I just couldn't believe it. But it's at a point right now where, like I said, where buyers are just driving around neighborhoods and they're just going nuts about, finding homes. And so when you're marketing a house, you can almost count, if you're pricing it right and the conditions right, you can almost count that you're going to have multiple offers probably within a day or 48 hours tops.
So then when you say 5 offers in a day, so then that brings to what do you do with that? How is a seller and a listing agent, how do you handle 5 offers? How do you know which one to pick?
Well, you got to break them down because every offer is a little bit different. And if you're a savvy agent, you can figure out ways to make the offer a little bit sweeter. You may even have the same price as offer 2, but the way you've written the contract actually puts you in a more advantageous position. So you have to really kind of look at it through and through. You have to kind of vet them through the lenders. You call the lenders. You find out, are they pre-qualified or pre-approved? You look at, what's their down, what kind of financing are they doing? You look at everything. It's really a whole ball of wax, a global look, 10,000-foot, view type of deal. And once we break the contracts down with all their features and everything, we have a better understanding of really which one makes the most sense. So, seriously, the highest price is not necessarily the best offer.
Well, that's interesting because I think a lot of people think, well, I'll just go with a higher price. But why would that not be the best? Give me an example.
Okay, I'll give you a perfect example. These offers I got last night. It's not a big house. It's $111,000. Yeah. But I had a lady that gave me an offer, and she wanted to put in an offer for quite a bit above that $111,000, a VA loan. And my problem is I don't think it's going to appraise for what she put the price in there.
Right.
So if we don't appraise, and she's asking for some money back, which still put her, would have put her at number 1 overall.
Right.
But if it doesn't appraise, we've got a problem here. We may let a better offer go. If it comes back and it only appraises for, say, $111,000, and they still want that money, all those 4 other offers that may have ended up really being better at that price are now gone. Okay, and I'm sitting there with, what do we do now? Do we sell in the house and take the hit, or do we go back on the market and have to spend more time looking for a new buyer?
So in this case, over offering, it's kind of like over betting the pot.
Yeah.
Disqualified her.
Well, we haven't actually made the decision
yet,
but in my mind, it's going to. And I've already expressed that concern to her. I said, I just don't think it's going to appraise. So I don't think that looking at that pie in the sky number is going to be, advantageous to us. I don't think it's going to work.
Okay, so walk me through a couple of those other offers. So you got the one offer, they're like, whoa, too much, yikes, I don't know. Now, let's, in your mind, because this is fresh for you, give me a couple of offers that may be counterintuitive to people that when you're looking at this, which is the best offer in your mind? Give me an example of a couple of the other offers you got.
Well, the other offers are, first of all, when you're dealing with multiple offers, if you're not starting at list price, you might as well forget it.
Right.
It's just not
Listen to that, guys. No low balls anymore.
No low
if you're
balls.
still doing that, you're done.
Low balls are gone, that kind of thing. It's just not happening these days. So what we tell our people is, because they look at us and go, well, what do we do?
Right.
And the response is always, look, you have to look at it like this. You're going to get one shot at this house. So you've got to think, what is the $1 more that if someone wants it, I'm willing to say, I don't want it that badly. Let them have it. So everybody's playing the game of putting offers in plus, $1,000 or $1,500 or $1,501 type of thing to make yourself just $1 better.
Right.
Okay. So they're all playing that game, and in many cases, they're going over enough that they're saying, I think that the appraisal is going to correct me at the end anyway. So I can shoot high, knowing that the appraisal is going to bring it back into reality. Okay.
Right.
And so, and really, at the end of the day, the seller doesn't have much recourse unless we feel it's a really bad appraisal.
Right.
The seller's really going to have to sit there and say, okay, what do? Do I put the house back on the market, agree not to sell it for that price, and say I'll just go back on the market, which means I got to wait another 30 days to close. Yep. I got taxes, insurance, interest, all that kind of stuff,
right?
Which devalues the next offer, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
So, But the other offers, you can do creative things like you can strip out the home warranty, which everybody typically asks for. Well, that could be $400 or $500 that you could leave back, put back on the table. Some people are paying for the title insurance, where it's typically a seller, born event or expense. They'll say, "Well, we'll pay for it." So again, that's another maybe $1,000 in this case that makes their offer better by $1,000 because now my seller doesn't have to pay for that.
Right.
So there are just a lot of other creative things you can do. You can put down more earnest money, put down a larger chunk towards the house. I mean, better than 20%. If you're putting down 50, that tells me you're more liquid and you're a stronger buyer.
Right.
Again, the type of financing, I'm going to look at if it's VA, FHA, or conventional.
Right.
All those things are going to carry, weight with me, and I'm going to assign a value to that. And so when we sit down and we discuss the offer, I'm going to be able to tell my client that I feel that this is the strongest offer for you because of all the contingencies.
You're listening to Tuttle Talk here on the Real Estate Radio Network, talking with John Sturges of the Sturges Group. We are talking, really, you kind of bled into the buyer side of that because you wear that hat and it helps you be a better listing agent. If you have questions about your offer or you're looking to go make an offer and you need a great negotiator like this, call me 469-319-0660, 469-319-0660. I'll set you up with John. Yeah, John, you talked about, it's very interesting because you said this is how you evaluate as a seller, as a listing agent for the seller, and yet all those things are the same tactics you use on the buyer side.
For the most part.
To help you get that deal for your buyers.
Yeah.
And so that, I think, gives you a really unique perspective, being good and doing a lot of business on both sides of the ball, that you understand how the game's played and how to make sure the tactics that they're using, right? It's like, since you've been a kid, you know what the kid's doing. You've been a buyer's agent, you know how to do it, right?
Absolutely.
And so on that note, and kind of switching to the buyer side of things, and actually one more thing on that, FSBOs. You're out there, you want to sell your home by yourself. And John, do you see this? More people think that they can sell their home by themselves because the market's so hot?
I actually visited one today. I was previewing a bunch of homes for a buyer today, and I went to one that's been on the market for 462 days. And he was a FSBO. And I looked at him and I said, why? And he said, "Well," he goes, "I don't think I need a real estate agent." And I'm thinking, "You sure you do?" And it was a beautiful house. It was a $525,000 house, but he's been on the market for 462 days. And I looked at him, I said, "You're not going to get a lot of showings. It's really hurting you." And he was staged incorrectly. I mean, there was a whole host of things. I could tell exactly why his house hadn't sold.
Okay, so I want to get to this now. So in the next segment, we'll move to the buyer side and we'll talk about appraisals. But we're hot here. I got it. These stats are fresh, and it so bothers me because I want more inventory on the market, and the FSBOs right now, their inventory, although it's on the market, it's really not.
No.
Because, and here's the thing, this is what I find interesting, guys. And if you're out there, you already are a FSBO, a for sale by owner, or you want to be, listen up here, because this is very interesting. The more and more and more of these companies are coming along, and discount brokers are coming along. It's like, we'll for $500 or 1%, we're going to list it on MLS, or we're going to do this for you. We'll give this packet, right? So all these companies continue to add, and they continue to take your money. But guess what? The stat still is, according to the National Association of Realtors, it has not changed, but a couple percent in the last 10 years. 67% of people that put their home on the market by themselves still use an agent. Agents will sell your home statistically in half the time and get 4 to 6% higher on your price.
Absolutely.
Good agents are worth their weight in gold, especially right now. This is not the time you don't need an agent. This is a time you especially need an agent. But here's what I've done, and I'm glad you brought this up, because I do this for sale by owners. I work with a ton of them. We have a for sale by owner program. The same quality that you're paying for, we just give it to you for free, because we just don't want you to. We know you're going to use an agent. 67% of you are, but we want you to really get in there and get it done yourself if you can. So we have a whole program: open house, scripts, sheets, the sign-in sheet. Tips, 33 tips on how to sell your home by yourself. Comes with the brochures. We do a packet. We give you everything you need to sell your home. And we want to help you do it because you're going to be a more informed seller. But if you decide you still need an agent after that, we want to connect you with a good one, but we want to take you through the process if you want it. If you want to sell your home by yourself, at least be armed to do it right. Call me, 469-319-0660, or text the same number, 469-319-0660, with the words buy owner. That's all you got to put, buy owner. We're going to set you up with the whole packet. We'll get you signed up and you'll be ready to go, so you can at least have the best arm to do it by yourself. But I got to tell you, the best way to do it is to get with an agent. And we have some that'll do a minimal service for a minimal fee. If you need it, we'll walk you through that as well. But I got to say, every single time someone goes through this program and they do decide to go with an agent, you guys are glad you did, and you end up making more money. We don't work with slackers here and part-timers. We work with professionals that are very highly rated, top 250 out of 14,000 agents like John. That's who you're working with. Those guys will make you money. You got to go with somebody who's going to make you money. So if you're interested in that and you want to start out soft and say, no, I still want to do it on my own, just call us or email me at answers@andytuttle.com. We'll take care of you. Coming up here on Tuttle Talk, we're going to stay with John for one more segment. We are going to talk about, from the buyer's side of things, what you can do to make that offer rock solid and make sure you get your offer accepted. And also we're going to talk about what happens when it goes wrong. What happens when you make an offer on a home and it goes wrong and the appraisal's low on the buy side? And from the seller's perspective, what do you do when that appraisal comes in low? We had one happen with John and I on a client this last week. We're going to tell you about what we did next. And we're back. Welcome back, Dallas. You are listening to Tuttle Talk here on the Real Estate Radio Network, where we teach you what the rich and the banks do. And right now, we're teaching you what smart buyers and smart sellers do. We're here with John Sturges of Sturges Group Realty. I know Realty's not your last name, but that way people know that you're.
It feels like it sometimes.
It does. It does. He's a pro, and he's been with us this whole hour. Really appreciate your time today. We've covered a lot, but this segment I want to talk about on the buyer's perspective. So the last segment, we were talking about sellers and how you evaluate all the multiple offers, and you gave us some examples. And some of that kind of bled over into what you do as a buyer. But if you're a buyer right now in this market, what are a couple of the basics that you need to know before you go house hunting?
You should find yourself a really good agent and listen to that agent. That agent knows what's going on.
You're biased.
I mean, yeah. I mean, it's just, they think they know it all sometimes, and you're like, let me help you, avoid these pitfalls and avoid the problems, because, there's just not enough inventory to be playing games with. If they lose that one house, they may be devastated about it. But it's only because they had this, vain opinion of what they think they knew and how they thought they could insert themselves into the process. And I'm trying to help them out. It's like, I work for you. If you tell me at the end of the day that's what you want to do, then that's what we're going to do. But I'm going to tell you, as a professional, this is what you should do.
So on that note, what I hear from that is be teachable, guys. Seriously, put your ego at the door. Be teachable. You are a professional in your business. We know there's a lot of professionals that listen to this show. That's awesome. Be great at that, and we come to you for that. We're going to respect that. But when John here, who is done, he does as many transactions this month and helps as many families this month as homes you're going to buy your whole life.
Oh, yeah.
So you got to think he knows what's going on, and guys like this know what's going on. So it's not an arrogant thing. It's a, man, I'm really trying to help you.
Exactly.
And you got to listen.
Yeah, that's what we try to get across to people. This is not about me. I'm trying to help you reach your goal. And I know how to do that, but you have to work with me. You have to be open. Like I said, teachable. You have to listen, and you have to, understand what I'm telling you is the way it goes, and this is the way the real estate game works. If you don't follow it, you're probably going to continue to fail.
And the problem, John, honestly, is because there are part-time agents out there, and hey, lenders too, and in any business it's the same. 20% of the people do 80% of the work. Yeah. But you get such a bad name here. There's enough people that deal with the bad agents because 80% of them aren't great, and they're like, well, I don't need an agent. No. You just don't need a bad agent.
Right.
If you know more than your agent, just get rid of the agent.
Right. Oh, absolutely. No doubt about it. Your agent should be fully knowledgeable about the market. If you start asking questions about what's the inventory like, what are the prices like in these areas, they should be able to rattle that off their head. If they can't, then they're probably just, not spending a lot of time in real estate, to be honest with you.
Great. So that goes back to my questions I asked first. Ask them how many, if you want to qualify your agent, hey, how many transactions did you do last year? How many families have you helped? What are you doing? And then the second one would be, do you know my market, right? Give me some examples of what's going on, right? What are the price ranges? What are the best places for me to buy right now? Right. They should be able to tell you.
Absolutely. No doubt about it. What houses have you sold recently? Like you said, the amount of transactions that you're doing, do you work basically all the time? I tell people I work 7 days a week, 24 hours a day. That sounds kind of funky, but I really do. I answer my phone at 9 o'clock at night. I'm not the kind of agent that says, hey, if you're calling me after 7, I'll get back to you Monday or something like that. That's not going to cut it. It's just not going to work because the market's moving way at light speed right now. And homes are coming on the market. We're literally jumping on homes minutes after they get on the market. And I did that today. 2 minutes after that house was listed, I ran my client over to that house. They said, let's write an offer. I wrote the offer before I came here.
Right.
I know I was the first person in that house. You've got to be Speedy Gonzalez in this deal, I guarantee it.
You're fast. Your legs are very fast. That's right. No, and that's good. You make a good point. Okay, so from the buyer side, you've got that piece. You got to make sure, one, you got to be pre-approved, and it's got to be a rock-solid pre-approval.
Got to be a rock-solid pre-approval.
Can't be internet pre-approval. Can't be just somebody, you talk to somebody and they pulled a credit and that's it. Especially if they didn't pull credit, you're really messed up.
And not pre-qualified. There's a difference between pre-qualified and pre-approval. When I see pre-qualified, I'm like, you've done half the work. And I really don't know if they're good. I see pre-approval, I know that they've vetted them to a very deep level, and this is pretty much ready to roll.
That's right, guys. So if you're pre-approved, it means the lender has seen all your documentation, everything to support what you said you've made and done. They've even sent it to an underwriter in many cases. It's definitely been run through an automated underwriting system, and you are fully credit approved. You're really just waiting on property approval. That's it. And so that's key. And then you got to, again, listen to your agent and then make sure that you are getting with an agent that knows how to negotiate, right?
Absolutely.
And some of those tricks you talked about already are what? You may want to make your offer sexier by putting in a little bit higher option fee, right?
Yeah, higher option fee, maybe shorter option period, higher earnest money, which really goes to show the level of interest for a home.
Right.
I mean, and the earnest money just goes to the title company anyway. It's being held in an escrow account for you. It's not at risk, really.
It goes towards your down payment.
Goes towards your down payment and closed costs. Yeah, so it's not like you're risking it.
Right.
Obviously putting more money down towards the purchase price shows you have a lot more money in your bank, that kind of thing. Not asking for, seller concessions.
Right.
Not putting crazy stuff in special provisions like, it has to, the HVAC has to pass, inspection and stuff like that. You're already signaling to me that you're going to be a problem.
Right.
Okay. And that's
the seller's market, guys. It's different. Listen.
And that's what I had that happen recently. I mean, they put all kinds of wonky stuff in the special provisions. It has to, the water heater has to be acceptable, the HVAC. And I'm like, that's what the inspection period's for. Don't put that in there now because you're telling me you're going to be a problem. And I may not want to deal with you.
Guys, listen up. This is not the market you bought your last home in. So seriously, you can't get away with it. Wait till later. You're going to have to, or you're just not going to be buying right now. And you should be buying right now. This is the time to buy. Rates are awesome. They're going to be higher next year. The prices are going to be higher next year. This is the time to get in there. So, John, you get the offer. You get it accepted, right? You work with a great agent like you.
Of course.
Such a charmer, aren't I? So you get in there, you get your offer accepted. Maybe you paid the list price, maybe you paid a little bit above the sales price that they were asking because you really wanted that home and you structured all your other stuff already. You won. Congratulations. Now you go through the inspection. It goes great. Everything's going well. Your approval's going clean. You're working with a great lender like me. We got you approved, ready to get you cleaned up well before the closing date. And then the appraisal comes back.
Right.
And you bid on a $220,000 home, and the appraisal comes in at $206,000.
Right.
What do you do then? John, from the buyer's agent, and we got about a minute. So from the buyer's agent perspective, 30 seconds, and from the listing agent, what are you thinking?
From buyer's agent perspective, obviously it's a game changer because that's a big number, a big miss.
Yep.
So, the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to contact the listing agent, and I'm going to say, hopefully you have some good comps to support this because you're really the one that's going to have to build this case. It's not my job to basically try to make my client pay higher. So I'm not going to argue that fact as a buyer's agent. But I am realizing that, that the seller probably is going to have a problem with that price, that big of a delta. So
that's right.
So I'm going to contact them first, obviously contact my client. I'll also review the appraisal to see, if from my perspective it looks like it was not clean as it should be.
Right.
And if I really feel like the guy did a bad job, I'll weigh in, that kind of thing. But just to help out a little bit because my client typically wants the house.
Yeah,
right?
That's right.
So that's as a buyer's agent. Those are kind of some of the things I'm going to do. As a listing agent, I'm going to have to get my selling hat on and start getting those comps out and contact the appraiser. If I can, that kind of thing, and have a conversation with them. The problem here becomes that the appraisers are going to defend their position. And they're really not going to give it up. Because it makes them look bad if suddenly he says, "Oh yeah, I made a big mistake. It really is $225,000."
Right.
He looks terrible. And so he's going to fight for his position the whole way. So it's an uphill battle. It really is.
It is an uphill battle. And it's from the lender's side here. It's like we used to be able to say, we want this appraiser to do this. You can't do that. You can have local panels or you can have in-house panels. Either way, you can't choose the exact appraiser. You can't have the direct one-on-one conversation. You got to go through these appraisal management companies now. So even if you have good appraisers historically, we don't have the control. And so it becomes a situation, and John's right, you don't want to get them defensive, just like you don't want to admit when you're wrong. You have to be very delicate with how you do it. In this case, we've got some good stuff from the seller. We're going to go back. We built our case to say we understand why he missed these things. It wasn't where it was. We want to help him make a new decision based on new information. And I think we've all agreed that it's somewhere in the middle. Maybe it's not 220. Maybe it's somewhere in the middle, 215-ish, and that's where we're trying to work. But we got to do the best we can to make that deal work because it doesn't always go right. And right now, appraisals are about still a 6-month lag time with true value. And so
Yeah, 6 months ago is ancient history.
It really is.
I mean, I will. In fact, to be honest with you, as a listing agent, you have to go out and meet the appraiser out there and show them all those other offers you got because they have no knowledge of those.
That's right. And so we are fighting hard. Sometimes you get into that situation, but know if you have the right team, you're going to win in most cases, and you're going to figure it out. You got to have that dedicated team. We want to be that team for you. Call me 469-319-0660. We're going to help you with a home loan. We're going to connect you with great realtors like John Sturges. Nobody better, especially in Southlake, than this guy. You got to take care of. And Colleyville, that whole area out there.
That whole area, yeah.
I tell you, it's
Masters of the universe.
Masters of the universe. Well, thank you so much for coming on the show, John. Really appreciate your time.
It. Thank you so much.
And I appreciate you guys for listening. That's it for today's show. Hope you enjoyed this hour. Always reach out to me at answers@andytuttle.com or at 469-319-0660. You can go to andytuttle.com, get all the past shows and all kinds of resources for you, and you're trying to buy, sell, and get your finances together and make sure that you're having a prosperous future. We're here for you there, and you can also look us up on Facebook. We'll see you next week. More great stuff, more great professionals for you. Thanks for listening to Tuttle Talk, where we're making financial intelligence a priority in the community. Have a great weekend.
You've been listening to Tuttle Talk on 660 AM. You can reach Andy at 469-319-0660. That's 469-319-0660. Or email him at answers@andytuttle.com. Don't forget to become a fan of his show by going to facebook.com/Tuttle Group. You can also catch previous shows by going to andytuttle.com.